Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so good morning, everybody. And let me just begin with doing one time the homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, so now we are going to be beginning our retreat on mindfulness of the body or contemplation of the body. And before we actually start into the practice, I want to sort of locate this practice within the broader fold or framework of the Buddha's teaching. And some of you have joined my earlier online retreats, and so this might be already familiar to you. In that case, please excuse me for repeating material that you already know, but we will do it for the benefit of those who are new to this procedure. And let me share my screen. Okay, so the practice of contemplation of the body or mindfulness of the body fits within the framework of right mindfulness or the 4 foundations of mindfulness. We know that right mindfulness is the 7th factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. And so it's supported by right view, right intention, then right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort. Then we have right mindfulness, followed by right concentration. And right mindfulness is defined in the formal definition of the path factors. It's explained by way of the practice of the 4 establishments of mindfulness, the 4 foundations of mindfulness: contemplation of the body, contemplation of feelings, contemplation of the mind, and contemplation of dharmas. Dharmas might be understood as various groups of phenomena, factors of experience, arranged in accordance with the progressive development of the Buddha's teaching. And so of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the base and starting point for all of them is mindfulness directed to the body or contemplation of the body. And so we have the 4 foundations of mindfulness elaborated in the Satipatthana Sutta. And maybe some of you have been following Venerable Mangala, who is giving regularly on Sunday evenings talks on the Satipatthana Sutta. And so we have contemplation of the body, contemplation of feeling. Let me increase the size of this. Contemplation of the mind, and contemplation of dhammas, groups of phenomena organized in accordance with the progression of the Buddha's teaching. And so we have as the foundation for all 4 satipatthanas, all 4 foundations of mindfulness, the base, the root, the starting point is contemplation of the body. And this is said to comprise 14 exercises or 14 types of practice, but several of 9 of them are just variations on a single principle. So we really have 6 exercises included under contemplation of the body. We have mindfulness of breathing, then knowledge of the postures. So knowing in whatever way one is holding the body, knowing the posture in which the body is situated, whether it's walking, standing, sitting, and lying down, or changing from one posture to another. Then we have mindfulness coupled with clear comprehension. So this means, in effect, knowing whatever one is doing while one is doing it in the course of one's activities in daily life, from walking, standing still, looking up, looking to the side, eating, drinking, getting dressed, getting undressed, going to the toilet, speaking, keeping silent, going to sleep. Whatever one is doing, one knows what one is doing as one is doing it. Then the fourth is the meditation on the unattractive nature of the body. And this is typically expounded by way of contemplating the 31 or 32 constituents of the body. Then comes the meditation on the four material elements, traditionally classified as earth, water, fire, and air. And then come the 9 charnel ground contemplations, or the 9, sometimes called the cemetery meditations. And these are the meditations on the body's gradual disintegration after death. And so in the course of this retreat, we're going to be covering all of these exercises included under contemplation of the body. Ideally, to really fulfill the practice of contemplation of the body, one would need a much longer, extended retreat, maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks, where you could devote a lot of time to each of these exercises. But in this 4-day retreat, we're going to be trying to get a taste of each of them, moving in a progressive sequence from mindfulness of breathing through, in the end, doing the disintegration of the body at death. So not in a charnel ground or cemetery. Yeah, so this is a little bit like if you go to, I was thinking you go to an Indian restaurant where it's a buffet restaurant where there's many different curries laid out. And so you take your plate, you put on first a base of rice, and then on top of the rice, you can put a dal curry, potato curry, spinach curry, okra curry, some other condiments, a papadang, and then you get a little taste of each. So basically, that's what our 4-day retreat will be like, where I hope you get a taste of each of these exercises, and then at your own time, with your own convenience, you can develop them in greater depths. And if you do have the time and opportunity for a long-term retreat, then you should take full advantage of that opportunity.
Excuse me, Bhante, we cannot see your sharing.
Really?
Yeah, Bhante, we can't see your document.
Oh. Okay, I think I know why. Is this working now?
Yes, it's fine now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. But basically, I related pretty much everything that's on that you could now see on the screen. So in contemplation of the body, we progress through mindfulness of breathing to knowledge of the postures. And what we'll be emphasizing in this retreat is the practice of walking meditation. But then the next day, sitting meditation, or mindfulness of the body in the sitting posture. And then mindfulness and clear comprehension, that's what you have to do when you're engaged in other activities apart from formal meditation. Then on the 3rd day, we'll do in the early sessions, the mindfulness on the unattractive nature of the body. Then we move the later part of day 3 into the 4 material elements, continue this on day 4, the last day. And then the last couple of sessions will be on the contemplation or reflections on the disintegration of the body at death. So in this way, we'll be virtually covering in a very rather cursory way, in a rather hasty way, all of the exercises included in contemplation of the body. Okay, so let us now start with the base or root meditation subject, which is the mindfulness of breathing. So this is going to be our constant sort of reference point, the subject that we repeatedly come back to and that we use as a sort of starting point for the other exercises. And so now you take your congenial sitting meditation position. So you can be sitting on a mat with your legs crossed in any way you find convenient, or you might be sitting on a meditation bench, or if you find sitting cross-legged or on a bench difficult, you could sit in a chair. But don't, if you're using a chair, don't sit in too comfortable a chair, not a padded armchair, but a chair that will enable you to keep your body upright without getting drowsy. And so you keep the torso, the upper part of the body, you keep it straight and upright, but not stiff or rigid. You let the weight of the body be pulled down by the force of gravity and sustained by the buttocks against your meditation seat. So you keep the torso straight, but not by tightening the muscles of the back, but just let the body be relaxed, soft and relaxed. Then your hands you can place on the lap, right hand over the left, with the thumbs lightly touching. Or if you prefer, you can have the hands on the knees or on the thighs. Head should be held with the nose perpendicular to the navel, mouth closed with the tongue against the palate, eyes lightly closed, and the chin can be dropped just a very slight angle. And then first, you simply set up mindfulness of the body in the sitting position. Just be aware of the body sitting, trying to experience the body in the present moment, being mindful to the, what I call the concrete felt sense of the immediate presence of the body. And by being attentive to the concrete felt experience of the body in the present, this gives a chance for all of these thought formations about past events, future plans to drop away. And you're just present with the body, the felt immediate sense of the body in its concrete immediacy. Okay, now we move the attention to the breath. As you attend to the body, mindfully attend to the body, you can see that the body is breathing, and it's breathing on its own. It's the natural process of the body. So the breath is occurring all the time. And all you have to do now is move the mindfulness to the breathing. And the task is simply to keep the breath in mind, not letting the mind slip away from the breath. And you try to follow each in-breath, each out-breath as continuously, as consistently as possible. From the beginning of the in-breath through its duration to its end, from the beginning of the out-breath through its duration to its end. And so in this way, you follow each in-breath, each out-breath, not trying to visualize the breath or to impose anything else upon it, but just be aware of the felt experience of the in and out breathing. And you can narrow the focus to a particular region where you can experience the breath most clearly and distinctly. This might be for some people around the nostrils or upper lip. Or it could be with the expansion and contraction of the chest. Or with the rising and falling of the abdomen as you're breathing in and out. And if you find it helpful to ensure that you are keeping the breath in mind, you can use a light mental note when breathing in. You could use the note in. And when breathing out, out. Or if you're following the abdomen, the note can be rising, falling. But the focus of the mindfulness should be on the bodily sense of breathing in and breathing out, not on the mental note. Okay, naturally, thoughts are going to come into the mind. Sometimes many thoughts will come in, but you just let the thoughts come and let them go. And again, you bring the mind back to the in-out breathing. But if you find you suddenly realize that you've completely lost track of the breath, and you've been planning a party for next week or remembering your high school graduation or anything else in the past or the future, as soon as you recognize this, you just make the observation, thinking, or wandering mind. Then don't try to jump right back on the breath. First, come back to the body in the sitting position, then observe the body until the breath, the felt experience of the breath resurfaces. And then you go back to. Okay, we will continue now in silence until 9:45. Okay, so now you continue on your own. Yeah, one further word, and that is when following the breath with mindfulness, always try to keep the mind soft and gentle but alert. Don't push or force the mind onto the breath. And if you find that your mind is getting tight in following the breath, then you can relax it, come back to the felt sense of the body in the sitting position, and then just be attentive to the body sitting, and then bring the mind back gently but firmly to the breath. Okay, you can relax now. And when we end the session, the way we usually do it is by rubbing the palms together to generate a little warmth. And then we take the palms and we rub them over the face, top of the head, then back of the head, back of the neck, then down the shoulder blades, then down the lower back to the buttocks. And you can massage that area to stimulate the circulation a bit. Then we come down to the knees. And again, you can massage the knees. And then if you've been sitting cross-legged on a mat, you can come down to the ankles, the feet, and the toes. Okay, now we're going to be doing the walking meditation. And even though I've explained this in the past, but I'll repeat the explanation for those who are not familiar. So this is within the framework of contemplation of the body. This comes into the section on contemplation or mindfulness of the postures. So it's one of the four main postures. We have sitting, standing, walking, and then lying down is the fourth. So this is mindfulness of the walking position. And so to do this, okay, we have a plane flying directly overhead. Okay, you choose an area in your living quarters of about, it could be about 12 to 15 paces, even 20 paces. Could be like a hallway or a room with a lot of walking space, sufficient walking space. And you determine a particular section there to be your walkway, the area for doing the walking meditation. And the task in doing the walking meditation is to be mindful of the act of walking. And the way we do this in the initial stage is you start off at one point, we'll call this the starting place, the starting point, and then you determine the end point of the walkway, again, 12, 15, 20 paces. Okay, the task is to take each step with full mindfulness, to be fully mindful of each step. You don't have to do it extremely slowly, the way some meditative traditions do. It could be a slow but fairly normal pace of walking. Or maybe I should say a slow pace, but not extremely slow. It doesn't have to be extremely slow. And the task is to be mindful of each step, the right step, the left step, right step, left step. And the way I suggest when we do this, you be mindful of each step in two phases. One is the phase of moving the foot, bringing the foot forward. And the other is to be mindful of the contact of the foot with the floor as you're putting the foot down. So with the right foot, you're mindful of moving the foot, putting down, then mindful of, with the left foot, mindful of moving the foot, then mindful of the contact. Then to the left foot, I'm sorry, to the right foot again, mindful of pushing the foot forward, then putting it down. Left foot, pushing the foot forward, putting it down, being especially attentive to that sensation in the foot as the foot is pressed against the floor. Okay, so you continue walking in this way till you come to the end point of your walkway. Then as you're approaching that point, you make the determination, stopping, and then you stop, and then you pause in the standing position, and you're just mindful for a moment of standing. Then you make the determination to turn around, and as you're turning, you're mindful, turning. Then you are standing, facing the starting point. You're mindful again of standing. And then you walk back to the starting point in the same way, pushing the foot forward, putting it down, pushing the foot forward, putting it down, till you come to the starting point. When you come to the starting point, again, mindful of stopping, standing, then turning, then standing, then walking back to the end point. And so in this way, you just walk mindfully back and forth, being attentive to the entire process or act of walking. And sometimes people think, oh, this is just not real meditation. This is just taking a break from the sitting position. But you shouldn't think in that way, because the walking meditation can become, it builds up slowly, but definitely a very strong momentum, which will carry through into the sitting position, into the sitting meditation. And so do the walking meditation again with full earnestness, maintaining the mindfulness throughout the entire act of walking, from starting point to end point, from end point back to the starting point. Okay, we're going to continue. Yeah, we could do it. Let's see. We'll do it till 10:25. Yet we don't. Yeah, it's the same team of our tech team, because the explanations take time. So we'll continue walking till 10:25. Then we'll do another period of the sitting meditation. And when you hear the sound of the gong, then you return to your sitting position. Okay, so let us start. Well, we will have now another session of the sitting meditation based on the mindfulness of breathing, Anapanasati. So settle into your sitting position. Then move into the mindfulness first of the body in the sitting position. Sim- Simply attending to the body as sitting. And then when your mind becomes sort of settled, then you can move the attention to the breath, wherever you can feel it, experience it most clearly and distinctly. And again, the challenge, the task is to be mindful of each in-breath, each out-breath as continuously, as consistently as possible. Remembering that that's not the ideal, that's the difficult task. Because the mind, the natural tendency is to roam, to wander, especially when all external stimuli are eliminated, then thoughts, memories, plans will come popping up into the mind. But as they come, just let them go. And again, bring the mind back gently but firmly to the in-breath, out-breath, wherever you can experience it most clearly and distinctly. And if you find it helpful, you can use the light mental note when breathing in. You could use the note mindful in, and mindful out. Or at the abdomen, mindful rising, mindful falling. Okay, let's continue. We'll continue for, let's say, 35 minutes till 11:05. Okay, you can relax now and we end the session the usual way. You could rub your palms together, then rubbing your palms generate some warmth, and then you rub the warm palms over the face, then the top of the head, back of the head, back of the neck, then down the shoulders, then down the lower back, massage the backside, and then you could come down to the knees, and then if you've been sitting cross-legged, you come down to the feet and the toes. Okay, we have time now for just a short period of walking meditation. This can be just about 10 minutes of walking meditation. And so again, you proceed in the same way, trying to be, you have your starting point, your end point for the walkway could be 12, 15, 20 paces. And then each step you take mindfully, noting in particular the act of moving the foot, we call this pushing, and then putting the foot down on the floor and attending especially to the contact sensation of the foot against the floor. And then you move the attention to the next foot, and this way, right, left, till you come to the end of your walkway. Then mindfully you stop. Mindfully you attend to the act of standing just for a moment. Then mindfully turning, then pausing, standing, and then walk back. Okay, so we'll continue this way for about 10 minutes. And then I'll have some instructions on applying clear comprehension or Sampagenya to everyday activities. Okay, so we will be breaking now for the midday meal. In the monastic tradition, we have the meal at 11:30. And I want to give just a few sort of pointers on how to maintain what we call Sampagenya, clear comprehension or clear awareness through the course of one's normal daily activities. So what this entails is being aware of whatever one is doing as one is doing it. And one can apply this to even the simplest, most ordinary activities of your everyday life. For example, usually when we go into a room, come out of a room, we just do it almost automatically. But when we're applying clear comprehension, when you're going to open the door, if the door is closed, you can be mindful of reaching out the hand, grabbing the doorknob, turning the doorknob, and pulling or pushing the door open, then walking through the entrance, coming into the room, and closing the door. You're attentive, mindful of closing, releasing the hand from the doorknob, and so on. And now we're going to learn how to apply this to the act of eating. And, and usually we eat very automatically. Just when we get the enjoyable taste, we relish the taste, and we go on taking more of the food that we like, and sometimes eating to excess. Okay, so the way we apply clear comprehension to the act of eating, what I've found useful is to break each mouthful of food into 5 stages. So we have the stage of taking the food. Different people in different traditions have different ways of taking it. In the Far East, with the often with a chopstick, or with a spoon, or it could be with a fork, doesn't matter. But one is aware of taking the food. Then that's the first step. Then putting it into the mouth, step 2. Then the next step is chewing the food. You're aware of chewing. Then as you're chewing, the taste arises. When you're tasting, you're aware of tasting. And then the next step is swallowing. So you're mindful, again, to repeat the 5 stages, taking in whatever way, taking the food up, putting it into the mouth, chewing, that's so taking the food, putting it up to the mouth, chewing, tasting, swallowing. You could probably find still further subdivisions within those stages, but 5 should be enough to work with. So try that as you're taking the meal. And this will also help you to, because you're mindful of the act of eating and mindful of tasting, so you'll get a clear sense of when you've had enough to sustain you, and to know when the craving is rising, which goes beyond the capacity that you need to sustain yourself through that meal. Okay, so try that as an exercise in clear comprehension. And then we will come back at 2 p.m. At that time, I'll review the instructions, and then we can take some questions. So any questions? And the questions should be questions related to the practice, to the technique, not theoretical questions. Don't ask me, can a robot practice mindfulness and clear comprehension? I don't know. But questions relating to the practice that we've been doing this morning. Okay, so we will end, I think, do we do 3 half bows to the Buddha?
Three half bow to the Buddha. bao, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay.
Thank you, Bante.
Good one, Saranai.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Namo Buddhaya.
I'm going to put the machine to sleep. Not me, but the machine.